Hi guys, it's Mondo Guerra from Project Runway, and you are watching Body of Work.
My name is Jacinta Lobato and I'm your host. Today we have some very special guests for the Fashionistas series of Denver. We have Mona Lucero, Gabriela Martinez, and Bianca Lopez. We also talked to a very special guest. You might know him from Project Runway and Under the Gun, Mondo Guerra. Welcome to Body of Work. My first guest is Mona Lucero. Mona Lucero is a wonderful fashion designer from Denver with tons of experience. Welcome to Body of Work. Mona, thank you for coming in and supporting the show.
Hi Jacinta, thank you for having me. I've been creating fashion since I was probably about 12 years old. Of course not seriously at that time, but you know, I've been sewing since then. My mother sewed, my sister sewed, my grandmother sewed, and so I learned from them. But I started off wanting to be an artist. So I went to art school. I went to CU Denver for art, and the whole time I was one of those art school students who always dressed kind of wild. So, you know, putting together things in just crazy ways. And as I was finishing art school, I was starting to think more seriously about how I could actually make a living. And at that time, I didn't really believe I could do it by just being a painter or a sculptor. So I started thinking more seriously about being a fashion designer. So I went to New York and went to the Fashion Institute of Technology.
Oh, wow.
And, yeah, and that was one of the best decisions I've ever made. And New York itself is such a great school. On my own, I started at 18, and when I moved out, I pretty much was taking care of myself from that point forward. And I think there were a lot of personal decisions I had to make that I wasn't necessarily sure of. But I thought if I just take one step at a time, including going to school in New York, that was a big deal for me.
Yeah.
You know, my family isn't rich or anything, and so I had to go out there with virtually very little money, especially now when I think back on how much I had. And I just said, okay, just do one thing at a time and see where it takes you so that eventually you'll get and achieve what it is that you want to achieve. Fashion design doesn't require that you have a degree,
Right.
Which is both good and bad. It's great because anyone can get into the industry and achieve whatever it is that they want to achieve, but then what happens is a school of hard knocks. So I always tell people, go to school, learn what the industry, what the expectations are in the industry, work for another company and see what they do, learn from their mistakes, learn from their achievement.
How important is it for somebody to know the business side of fashion?
It's extremely important. I mean, you can just do your designs and be a fashion designer to some extent and never sell a piece. But honestly, to really be successful, it means you have to sell. I mean, people have to wear your clothes. Many successful designers have had certain things that have happened in their, you know, previously you would be surprised what they had to learn early on about business. So it's not something that always comes inherently, like everybody knows already when they're how to be a business person. You learn.
How do you distinguish yourself from other designers around Denver? What do you think that sets you apart from current trends or what other people are doing?
You know, I've been in Denver. I graduated from design school in '87, June of '87, and I came back here and I worked for a couple of companies. And then after that, I went into doing wholesale. So I sold to stores. I created my first line and started selling that to stores.
Wow, that's impressive.
Thank you. And then I eventually opened a store. I had a store for 10 years, and the store was open up until about 2 years ago. Almost exactly 2 years ago is when I closed it.
So when your store closed, I mean, was it devastating for you? How did you recover from that, and how are people able to find your work now?
It was definitely a difficult transition. Who's ever had to run a store or owns a store knows how difficult it is. It's a lot of work. And I was not only running and owned a store, I was also creating designs to sell in the store, and I was also carrying other designers' clothes, local people, national and international, including gifts, and even artists also. So there was a lot to do. I didn't do a lot of the sewing at that point. I was having other people do the sewing for me, but I was still creating the designs in terms of you know, drawing and doing patterns for those designs, and then getting them to my cutter and sewer and getting them created. So it was still a lot of work.
Yeah, you had like how many hats is that? 1, 2, 3, 4? Business owner, fashion designer, wholesaler.
Yeah, it was a lot.
Wow.
Yeah, and so I was working pretty much 7 days a week, and I loved it. I mean, obviously, if you don't love something, you're not going to be able to give 7 days a week.
You're in the wrong business.
Right.
You're in the wrong business.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I was definitely like falling asleep thinking about it, breathing about, you know, thinking about all the time. But I loved it. But also wasn't able to go out and enjoy the day a lot of times. So I would be envious of people. Like, they would walk in and I'd be like, "What's the weather like out there? What are you guys doing today?" You know, we get so excited. I'm like, and they would tell me, and I'd be like, "Oh, that sounds great." And they'd be kind of like, "Why are you like so excited that we went for a walk?" Well, because I don't get those chances, you know. So when I closed the store, it was a bittersweet. You know, I loved what I did, but I was also excited about being able to have some time. And so in the last 2 years, I've also been able to spend more time working on my designs. So that was really exciting for me.
That gives you a lot of creative freedom, doesn't it?
Yeah, it definitely gave me a lot more creative freedom. And I think I'm still, and it's funny because I've been doing this for so long, but I actually think I'm improving. I think my designs are getting better. And I think it's not that the designs weren't in my head previously, but I just didn't have time to do it.
You're kind of like a pioneer here in Denver. Tell us about it.
I started something called the Fashion Association of Denver. And the reason I started it was there were a lot of fashion shows going on, and they have been going on for quite some time, but now it's like out of control. No one can keep track of what
There's so many things going on, yeah.
So, which is great. And but there was a Denver Fashion Week, Denver Fashion Weekend, Denver Fashion Weekend, Colorado Fashion Week, and then there were all these other shows going on, and people were starting to get confused. And people weren't aware of each other. So there were groups here doing fashion and involved in certain things, and there were other groups in other places. And so I'd say, "Do you know about so-and-so?" And they'd be like, "What? No, we're the only people doing this." I'm like, "No, you're not. There's probably at least 3 or 4 other people who are doing this, 3 or 4 groups." Wow. So what I wanted to do was try to help people come back together and start to become aware of each other. The general community start to become aware that there actually is fashion in Denver. And so now the latest thing that we're doing is, so we have what we call the Fad Advisors Committee, and basically we are having meetings once a month through 2015. We started getting very regular about doing it last year. On a personal level, I am going to be launching my own shopping cart on MonaLucero.com, and that should be launched by February 1st.
Oh,
so come
awesome.
Take a look. That's going to be a great way to find my stuff and buy it. So I'm really excited about that. And it also means that I will be able to sell in Denver, but also nationally.
I want to thank you for coming in today. Welcome. You're fabulous.
Thank
and her
you.
Designs are amazing. So please enjoy a demonstration of her work. Welcome to Body of Work. And thank you, Mona Lucero, for coming through.
Thank you, Jacinta.
Me and my sister would always go down to Las Cruces in New Mexico, which was really right across the border from Juarez. And so our parents would always go to Juarez and have their like happy hour or whatever. And so we'd always stay with the cousins at the ranch. And so I grew up in this ranch, and the name of the ranch is called Fairy Acres. And that's kind of like, that's a part of my history. You take it for what it's worth. I mean, I feel like it's really been, you know, said what, I mean, it's all been written somewhere who I'm supposed to be. I mean, especially if I grew up on Fairy Acres.
That's hilarious. Welcome to Body of Work, Bianca. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
So what is your style? How would you describe it?
It's different. It's very funky, spunky, very Japanese streetwear. It's one of those things that's very unusual to see, but I love it. I love that it allows children to be themselves and be different if that's who they feel they are.
And you do kids clothing for boys and girls?
Correct.
And what are the ages of your models typically?
They range from 2 to 12.
And how do you find your models?
A lot of them are related. A lot of them are friends' children's. A lot of them actually, they've contacted me through Facebook. They've heard about what I was doing and had asked if their children could participate. And I kind of go over like their sizing, their ages, what they look like, and if they would fit the mold of what I'm looking for.
Do they get really excited for the shows? How do they react?
They do. They do. It's, you know, they come in, they don't know what to expect because my themes are always really based off dolls. Like, I love for the kids to look like dolls, and I don't know why. It's just something that I really gravitate towards. Mm-hmm. So we put them in wigs, and we do their hair real crazy. And
oh, wow.
they look like little dolls. It's really cute.
I bet you they love it because I know when I was a little kid, that's what I wanted to be, was a Barbie doll. What is your inspiration for your clothes?
I would say my own kids. I love that my kids are different. I love that they want to be unique and be themselves, and they're free. They feel free, and I love that. And I think that that allows me to open up the door a little bit more for myself for younger kids.
And how many kids do you have?
I have 3 boys.
And what are their names?
My 8-year-old is Euladio, my 13-year-old is Amayas, and my 16-year-old is Rufino.
And Rufino is actually a fashion designer as well? Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah? And I heard that he's participating in an event coming up pretty soon with another one of our guests.
Yeah, he is in the Goodwill Fashion Show. He will be competing. This will be his 2nd year doing it. Oh. He is a junior at Denver School of the Arts, and he loves anything creative. He is definitely a creative person. He looks creative, and I love that.
with your personal style and Fino style, it's pretty, how do you say, eccentric. Do you ever get any backlash from that, or bullying or anything involving the way that he looks or the way that you look, maybe a second glance on the street? Or
Oh, of course. Not for me necessarily, but for him, because people look at him and they freak out. They don't know how to accept diversity and difference and just not fitting the mold of what society says you should look like. He's a boy that sounds very masculine, but wears makeup, has nails that are like 3 inches long.
they're beautiful. I've seen them.
So yeah, I mean, he gets it all the time, and what I love about him is the fact that I have really tried to, you know, comfort him and teach him that no matter what people say, if they're really that hurtful, then there's something wrong with them. There's something going on inside them that they can't accept people that are different and that are truly themselves.
So is that something that you're trying to showcase with your clothing?
Definitely.
Is that you could be as diverse as you want, you could be as eccentric as you want, just express yourself. Is that what you're trying to do?
Definitely. I think that fashion is an illusion. There's no mold. To me, there's no magazine. You know what I mean? Like, fashion is just an expression, and it doesn't mean anything. It just means this is who I am, and I love myself the way I am, and it's beautiful when people are different.
So why is it that you decided to design fashion for children?
I really feel like when my kids really started to express themselves, that I was starting to see this artistic desire in them, and it just drove me to want to work with children. And I've, you know, since I was a young kid myself, I've always kind of helped raise kids, and I've always gravitated towards children that were unfortunate. And
why is that?
I think because I was in a situation where it was unfortunate. My mom was on drugs. My mom wasn't there. My dad wasn't there. He also was, you know, an addict. So I kind of steered towards kids that really needed that support and love, and I feel like it's still happening every day in my life.
With your designs being so eccentric and over the top, and then these kids, you just really welcome and accept them for who they are, and I really want to commend her for that. You really embrace who they are as individuals, and you don't try to steer them in a direction. You let them just be themselves. I mean, her kids are really talented. One of them is a painter, correct? And the other one is in the School of Design, or Colorado School of the Arts. And he's a fashion designer. And what is the youngest one? He's the spunky one of them all, isn't he?
He's a mixture.
Yeah.
Like, he does everything. He loves sports. He loves wrestling. He plays soccer. He also draws. So I mean, he's kind of a mixture of the older two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I have to share a personal story with Bianca, because I just feel like this is like one of the most important things that's ever happened to me in my life. Bianca is a personal friend of mine, and she's a mother, and I'm a mother. And we had a conversation one day about our careers and our ambitions for the future. And I kind of broke down to Bianca, and I told her I was really frustrated with what I was doing with my life. And we just kind of held, I know it sounds really cheesy, but we held hands and we said, I believe in you. And you told me the same thing, that you believed in me, and that you knew that if I wanted to be on television and I wanted to make this show, that I could. And I'm getting so teary-eyed. And I told her, you should be a fashion designer. And I really believe in you, and I think that you're a very talented person, and I really mean that. I would like everybody in the audience and all the viewers to know how talented this woman is. And that is one of the reasons why I created this program, was because there are so many talented people in Denver that people simply just don't know about. So that is one of the main reasons why I created Body of Work, and I hope that you really enjoy the artists that I have in here today. And I wanted to thank Bianca Lopez for being so brave. She's an amazing woman and amazing talent. And actually, she's going to do a demonstration. We are hosting a fashion show just for Bianca Lopez, and she is going to bring in all of her models. So thank you for tuning in to Body of Work, and I wanted to once again thank Bianca Lopez, our emerging artist, for being here with us today. about it?
It's good.
Okay, Bianca, can you please tell us about some of your upcoming events?
Yeah, we have several going on right now, and I don't know if we're going to be able to make it happen in March, but definitely April, May, and June, we're going to be planning these fundraising fashion shows. I don't really want to go into full detail yet, but
Spoiler alert.
But May 2nd, I definitely can touch a little bit more on that because that is going to be held at Denver School of the Arts at 4 p.m. And it's going to be a phenomenal show. It's going to be a fundraising event for Children's Hospital.
Oh, wow.
And we're really wanting to bring in children that, whether it's cancer or anything else that they might be going through, and we want to use them as models.
Oh, wow.
So
Wow.
I
That's
have
amazing.
this grand vision, and DSA is helping me pull it together, and I'm really excited about that.
Wow, and I'm hearing about it for the first time too, so I'm really excited about it as well. Hello. Where can people find your clothes?
They can go to, my Facebook page, which is just under Bianca Lopez. Also, Diva Principal Productions,
Okay.
which is spelled DJIVA for Diva. And also www.cherrybombspacedesigns.com.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Who is your favorite fashion icon?
Oh, geez.
Ever.
My favorite fashion icon ever? Oh, man. It's weird because there's many of them, and if I tell you all of them, you'll probably get a better sense of like my work and who I am as a person. I like Freddie Mercury, I like David Bowie, I like Pee Wee Herman, and I like Dolly Parton, and I like Schiaparelli and Audrey Hepburn. I mean, if you mix them all up, that's kind of like who I am. It's weird. I know, it's very strange.
Welcome back to Body of Work. My next guest is Gabriella Martinez. She is a fashion designer from Denver and specializes in bridal and women's clothing. Tell us what it was like growing up as Gabriella.
Okay, I started when I was 8 years old, and my mom, we are 4 sisters, me and my mom, she always sewed the same sisters.
4 sisters, and your mother made your clothes, and she made all matching clothes.
Yes, for
and you
all
didn't
of
like
us.
that, so you started designing your own clothes to make yourself stand out.
I started to restyle, change sleeves and everything.
Wow.
Make sure they're more sexy than my sister. My mom, she sent me fabrics from New York and LA.
Wow.
When I was in Mexico.
Wow.
And I started making dresses for customers over there.
Was that a real sacrifice for her to, save up enough money to buy those and to send them out to you?
Yeah.
Wow. So she was investing in you.
Yeah.
That's
my mom,
awesome.
she's a very good businesswoman.
That's the way it should be. Your mom sounds like a wonderful person. Well, tell us about your line of clothing.
Well, I don't have a line. I do unique designs, and I design exclusive for customers, custom made, And I'm working on my collection for bridal wedding gowns collection.
So you do bridal alterations for who? Who do you work for?
I work with the most bigger bridal consignment here in Colorado. And
Oh, wow. What stores?
The Altar Bridal Shop.
The Altar
Yes.
Bridal Shop?
Yes.
Oh, great. And any other stores?
Yes, I work with A-Line Clothing Boutique in Greenwood Village.
Okay. And how did you get into fashion design? She could start by telling us about this beautiful dress she designed that I happen to be wearing. This is one of her dresses, and I wore it special for the occasion.
Thank you.
I got all dressed up just to have you on my show. Girl, tell us about it.
Well, I design clothes, but I also do prototypes and pattern making for companies and other designers. And also I do custom made clothes. I can make any idea from scratch.
Wow. And so what is this dress based on? What was your inspiration for this particular dress?
This fabric, inspires me by Gianni Versace. And
Versace?
Yes.
That's exactly what I thought when I seen it on the rack. I said I had to have that. That just
and
looks
it's
amazing.
beautiful on you.
No, thank you. Well, you made it. So,
Thank you.
what do you have coming in the future? What are you working on currently?
I'm more focused now doing bridal.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I design because I get bored when I do all the same thing, you know. I design, if I see a beautiful fabric, I get it and I make a dress because that's what makes me happy. But bridal, I love to work with brides. They are always happy and excited about to see my work and that dress done, you know.
So no bridezillas? Do you know what a bridezilla is?
No, tell me.
A bridezilla is a lady that gets completely stressed out by her wedding and she just freaks out on everybody.
Oh yeah, some, but they are trust on me.
Oh, that's
they
good.
They are always, when I talk, they are say, oh, you are the best.
So you put them at ease, in other words.
Yes.
Yeah, you get them relaxed and say, calm down, it's going to be okay. How do you talk down a crazy bride?
No, I'd say, believe me, I'm gonna make perfect when they're good.
Put your trust into me.
Yes.
Second, and tell us all about your awards. You received, what is it, the Raw? 2003 Raw Artist? What is
Yes, I was the designer of the year by Raw last year.
Wow, and what is that?
Raw, it's a community from artists all around the world, but I won here in Denver.
Wow, that's awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Tell us about your other awards and nominations.
Yeah, I won the Racing Star by Fashion Group International in 2011.
Yeah.
And 2010, I won the Fashion Art Contest at the Art Museum.
At the Denver Art Museum.
Yes. They are recognized me as the best designer for a special occasion.
So the Denver
dresses.
Art Museum recognized you as...
Yeah, it was by Fashion Group International at the...
Pretty impressive. Was that like the highlight of your career so far? Or are you just looking to do bigger and better things in the future?
I always try to do more and more, you know.
Yeah.
I'm going to apply next for Project Runway.
Oh,
That's
wow.
my next.
Wow. Well, good luck to you on that.
Thank you.
So can you please tell our viewers where they could find you online or through social media?
Yeah, you can find me on GabrielaCouture.com.
Okay, you have to spell that.
GabrielaCoure.
So Gabriella Couture?
Yes.
.com.
Right.
And is that how people could contact you for commissions or if they want to find out about your latest work? Is that where they find you at?
Yes.
Oh, perfect. I don't want to take up too much of your time, so thank you so much for coming in and talking to us about your clothes. I understand you brought some models to demonstrate some of your latest work.
Yes.
Yeah, I can't wait to see it. I think it's going to be fabulous, girl.
Thank you, Jacinta, for having me here.
No, thank you.
Thanks.
Okay. You were the runner-up on Project Runway Season 8.
Uh-huh.
You won Project Runway All-Stars, and you were a mentor on Under the Gun.
Mm-hmm.
What are you doing next?
Right now, I am kind of restructuring my business. After the show, I was really focused on providing a product that was really fan-focused, and so that really involved T-shirts and buttons and different things like this. So right now, my new venture is really getting into the cut and sew. So that's actually working with factories, getting numbers of different styles in-house, and we always do direct to consumer, because for me as a designer and providing a product, it's really important for me to work with the consumer. Mm-hmm. So every chance that I have, I really want to talk to them and see what they like, what they don't like about the business, and I feel like it's a win-win situation for both me and the customer when I'm able to provide a product directly to them.
So are you going to be doing any more television shows?
That's a good question. I think that in my future, one of my goals is to do some more on-camera stuff, whether that's a television show, whether that's me creating a collection and collaborating with another designer from the show, or if that's me doing correspondence on a red carpet. Any of that is possible, and that's really what I want to do, moving forward.
I can imagine you being a correspondent. You would be so fun.
Well, I have experience. I've done some red carpet commentary for the Academy Awards with affiliate out of LA, and it was fun because they have their experts and they've been there year after year after year, and so there's this new guy off this reality show that jumps in, and I feel like I'm kind of speaking for the people. Like, they always feel like they're experts. They're really talking about specifics. They're talking about what the trends are, what the what designer it is, and basically I'm just there to give a opinion, because I'm like the guy watching it from the couch watching the TV. So I'm just saying, I don't really like it for this. I don't think it's the right color, and who cares about the trends? I'm probably speaking for the mass, majority of what people like and what they don't like. At least in my head, in my little head, I'd like to believe that I'm right.
And you're right. So in many instances and events and occasions, you are also often referred to as the Latino designer. Mm-hmm. How do you feel about that? Do you embrace it, or do you feel pressure from representing a whole culture?
Well, I think that really, I think there is pressure. I have been, kind of been the face of this Latino designer. I've been in different Latino publications,
Mm-hmm.
and it's hard for me to really I don't want to say take responsibility, because I don't feel like it is a responsibility. It is my heritage. I am Mexican American. I mean, right now we're in my studio and
in North Denver.
Right, in North Denver, and I'm 2 blocks away from the church that I was baptized in, that I had my first communion in, that I was confirmed in, mm-hmm. and my parents got married in. So this really is, this is really where I'm from. I don't really necessarily look at that Latino checking a box as my heritage. This is my heritage. This is my upbringing. This is what I know. I don't speak Spanish, and there have been times where I'm out at an event, and somebody comes up to me and says, "Aren't you Latino?" And this happened recently in Art Basel. She said, "You're Latino. Do you speak Spanish?" And she started talking to me in Spanish, and I said, "No, I don't speak Spanish." And she said, "You should be so ashamed," and
wow.
it feels really bad, because as an artist, I don't think that will, that won't make my work any more significant and won't make my work any more insignificant. I feel like, what I'm doing and what I share with the world as a creative person is not influenced necessarily by me speaking Spanish, but it is influenced by my upbringing, and this is, again, what I know.
And speaking of your influences, mm-hmm. Betty, your grandma,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
she was a big influence, and you elaborate on that?
Well, my grandmother was probably my biggest supporter growing up. And, I think for me, it was always very difficult to allow that support and really understand that support, because I was a creative guy ever since I was very young. And a lot of the things that I was, growing up with, going to church and being raised in a Latino Catholic family, a lot of things that boys aren't supposed to do, there is a lot of give and take. So, for instance, if I played piano, if I wanted to play piano and take lessons, I had to play baseball during the summer.
Oh, wow.
So it was I was very confused. What am I supposed to do to make this situation not only happen, but to make the people that are providing me with what I really want happy. I remember when I was a senior, I was in a production of West Side Story at Denver School of the Arts, and my grandmother would always make me breakfast. And so, well, there's another part of that. So she'd always make me breakfast, and at one breakfast, she handed me a vinyl record of West Side Story, and we listened to it during breakfast. And I knew at that point that she really had my best interest. You know, the second part of that was that, you know, ever since 8th grade, she would walk me to the bus stop, and then she would wait until the bus came. And so even I rode the bus until I was a senior, and she was still waiting for me to get off the bus my very last day as a senior. Yeah.
Are you serious? In
Yeah.
high school?
Yes, in high school.
Wow,
And you know,
cool.
it was a little, you know, it could have been embarrassing, but my friends really got it, you know, and they really appreciated her presence. So
One of the most touching moments I've ever seen on television had to be when you announced that you were HIV positive. You are now an advocate for AIDS awareness. Can you talk about that a little bit?
yeah, so 6 months before I was cast on Project Runway, I was in the hospital dying from AIDS with a T-cell count of 14 with complications from HIV. And, you know, it really took that moment to realize that I still had a purpose, that I still had creative goals, that I was still able to not only accept love, but also give love back. And it was on Christmas Day when my mother came in to the hospital. And at this point, I was 30 years old, and I still wasn't, you know, sharing this information. I had told all the doctors that this information wasn't to be shared with her. She didn't need to know why I was in the hospital,
Wow.
you know. And she left that day, and before she left, she had told me that the family was going to wait to open presents until I got out of there. And that meant a lot to me because this is another part of our family tradition. We always go to my grandmother's house to open presents. We're always at her house in the morning having breakfast with my entire family. It was really that moment where I realized that I was missing out on so much, and I was really pushing so many people away from me and not allowing them to support me. And beyond that, I had lost all interest in what I was capable of, you know, achieving, whether that was, you know, health in my healthy life or in my creative life, you know. And when she left, you know, that was my rock bottom. Realizing that I had a purpose and realizing that I was letting this disease take control over me completely was really my rock bottom. And that's when I decided that, you know, I had to get out of there and start focusing. In a lot of ways, it was my saving grace. You know, that moment really gave back to me, and I honestly feel like my grandmother Betty held my hand from that moment on to the point where I was casted at Project Runway. I designed what is now called the positivity design, which is this motif of this repeated plus sign. And I asked one of the designers to come over and look at my work, and there was like 2 designs in front of her. And she said, this one, and I asked her why. She said, I just know this is more you. And that really clicked, and I knew that that was, you know, my moment. And that was really the message that I wanted to share. But even when Tim came by and was mentoring us and asking me about the design, I kind of, you know, continued to hide it. And really, it was just because, you know, I was there to really evolve as a creative person and as a designer and really share my ideas. And that was my first, you know, that was my mom's first time in New York, and I wanted her to enjoy, you know, the Project Runway experience. And so the next day, it was runway day, and I had finished my design, and I was really proud of it, and I felt like it was very strong. And it walked the runway, and, you know, you've seen the show, so we stand up there, they critique all the designers, and I went first. This is not how it was aired, but I went first out of all the designers, and I told my story. And then that's when Nina said, I wish I knew what the story was. But then all the 6 other designers talked about their inspiration and about their childhood, and it was really the designers that gave me the strength to be able to talk about it. And what was amazing to me is that I was able to talk about 10 years of my life in a matter of a minute.
Right.
You know, and I was able to let go of so much weight on my shoulders, and I can see myself physically lifted,
Yeah.
you know, and I was very, very, you know, I was very relieved and I was very happy. And, you know, I guess, you know, even talking to you right now, and this is 5 years later, thinking about it, I haven't really processed those emotions that I felt while I was, you know, letting go.
Right.
I know that I've let go, and I know that I've become this advocate, but I have started on a couple of different campaigns, national HIV education campaigns that I'm really proud of.
You appeared on CNN.
Yes,
Wow.
I appeared on CNN with the Silver Fox.
Yeah.
And which was, I don't even have to say his name because everybody knows who he is. And that was really amazing, you know. And I've met some, you know, and that's a really amazing part of it. Yeah, I have met these celebrities, and I've been able to go on these different programs. But as an advocate, I get to go to some of the largest HIV conferences in the country and in the world, and really the people, the HIV community, whether you're infected or affected by HIV, those are the people that I really learn a lot from, you know, and their stories really, you know, really let me and empower me to continue, you know, my work as a person living with HIV, and really trying to, you know, expand on my experiences and doing as much as I can to not only take the responsibility for not myself, but take the responsibility on for the larger community.
What I think I really wanted to say to you is that I think that you're a great inspiration to people who are trying to pursue their dreams, are pursuing their dreams, and have obstacles that they've overcome, and your obstacle happened to be a really big one. So I want to commend you for all of the work that you've done in the community, as an advocate, as a Latino.
I think that's the fun thing about fashion, that it doesn't have to make sense as long as you're comfortable and confident in what you're expressing and how you're sharing your ideas through fashion. Some people call them clothes, you know. It's perfectly fine. I mean, who am I to judge? Just because I'm a fashion designer doesn't make me an expert. I appreciate everybody's point of view.
Well, that makes me feel better because I was so...
Shut up and sit down.